Right. So, in today's session, we are going to discuss about a project flow, especially when we are working on machine learning. Machine learning project life cycle is something that I am explaining. Right. So, the machine learning project cycle, okay, this is something that we must be knowing because when we are going to create any model in machine learning using different tools like TensorFlow, all that. It's important for us to know about the project cycle. So when there is a project cycle that we need to be mentioned here, there were a few things. One is about the project formulation that we need to focus more on. This is the point number one. So policy formulation, problem formulation is the first one that we must be knowing. Or a project or a problem formulation, I mean to say that. Okay, so I can say like problem or a problem formulation, I can write. Okay, so because identify the problem based upon the uh, scenarios that we have identified, that's something that we must be familiar with, that we must be known with. That's always important. So understanding about the policy formulation is point number one. So once we have identified the problem formulation, the next we must be knowing about the data acquisition part as well. Data acquisition, from where we are accessing the data. Okay, all the things that we must be detailed with. So once the data acquisition that we have made, assume that from the project formulation point of view, from the data acquisition that we have identified, the next thing that we need to do is to do the cleaning part. Data cleaning is important because how to clean the data. At the same time, we need to label the data as well, right? So data labeling is also one of the key and important thing that we need to perform, right? So data cleaning we have to do because there are any kind of duplications we have, right? So unidentified data can be cleaned over there. Next, we need to update and we need to mention the exploratory exploratory data analysis because whatever the data analysis that we do or the kind of tools that we are using to do that because we are using Python or something like that we are performing. So exploratory data analysis has to be made. Subsequently, we have to initiate the data processing here. Okay. Data processing that we need to be updated. So whatever the data processing that we need to be performed, etc., everything we have to done. So from here onwards, important thing that we come when we are working on the machine learning project, wherein we need to split the data sets. Okay, the splitting the data set once we have done it is important because once the data processing is completed, we need to split the data set. Whenever we are splitting the data set, usually there are two things. Like one is about if you want to do the test data. Okay, if you want to do the test data, yeah, that is different, right? So if you want to test the data and all, again you need to perform the final testing, etc. Right? So this part you need to do it. Or else, if there is another option where if you want to perform validation of the sets, for example, okay, if you want to do the validation set. So validation set is another area wherein we need to be focused, right? So I'll create another diagram for that validation sets, that stuff. Validation set wherein we need to evaluate the model, right? So we need to do the performance evaluation. Everything we have to be performed right here. The third option from the splitting of the data set where we must be knowing about how to train the set. Okay? How to train the set is important because from there we generally whatever the model of training that we need to be performed or if you want to model the training, right? So everything will comes from here, right? So you need to do the model training, etc. Everything that we need to be performed here. Next, once the validation set is completed, these validation sets will be moved into the performance evaluations here. You need to create some performance evaluations. At the same time, from here onwards, you will be moving on to the hyperparameter turnings. Finally, whatever the testing that we have made, so this will be connected over here. So this will be connected here, wherein we need to do the final evaluations for this. So once the final evaluation is done, finally, after that, we will be moving on to the model deployment. Because this is crucial, because this point is really crucial here, because, yeah, let me, right. So this point is very crucial. Whatever the point I'm talking about, the splitting of the data, again, I'm repeating. Where if you want to split the data and all, there will be three conditions. One is training of the set, wherein we need to train the model. From there and all, model performance evaluations will be made. That is one scenario. Second, when you are validating the sets and all, you need to evaluate the model by performing model performance evaluations so that cross validations will happen. So hyperparameter tuning, everything will happen. Next, if you are testing the data, wherein final testing will be done and final evaluations will be made. So once the final evaluation is done, the next you are going for model deployments and all. So once the model deployments is done, finally you go for documentation. Okay. So what are the required documentation and all everything. So the documentation part, everything will be prepared over here. So this is how generally the machine learning project life cycle on a high level note. When we are developing any kind of models in machine learning and all, this is what something we must be good and we must be knowledgeable with.